And we got stuff to talk about. So you still have a place in Ohio. You know the Browns. You know the personnel well. I'm a big fan of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. I don't always love the impulsive nature of the ownership, but I think that they accumulated a second first-round pick, so they're going to go after a quarterback next year. And my take is I think they got one in Shedeur Sanders. So, I know it's OTAs, and I know it's mandatory camp, and I can't take a ton from it. But when you look at Shedeur's numbers, he's duplicating what he did at college. Whenever a college quarterback, like when Tim Tebow ran around in college, you're like, what an athlete. He got to the NFL and you're like, yeah, he's not an NFL athlete. Same with Johnny Manziel. Jaden Daniels ran in college. You watch him in the NFL and you're like, oh, that translates. Shedeur's accuracy, 74% in college. He's now at 77% in camp. And you could say, well, it's just camp. Well, why are the other quarterbacks at 58% for the Browns? It means something, does it not?
It means a little something, but I wouldn't read too much into it. I feel like you might be a Browns beat writer, Colin, because this hype train in Cleveland is so ridiculous right now, and I get it. There is a desperation coming off of Deshaun Watson for some quarterback to emerge, for some hope to be there for the franchise. And they thought Shedeur could potentially be a high pick for him. And then they get him in the 5th round. So it exploded in Cleveland the second that he got here. And what Kevin Stefanski is trying to do is he's trying to tamper it down. He's trying to push it down.
Something wild is happening in Cleveland, and no one saw it coming this fast. 5th-round rookie Shedeur Sanders just walked into Browns camp and flipped the quarterback room on its head. Flacco, shaken. DTR, scrambling. Even the coaches are trying to hide the fire. But the numbers don't lie. Shedeur's dropping dimes with pinpoint accuracy while the vets are flailing. Behind the scenes, the tension is getting ugly, and the whispers say this isn't just a competition, it's a full-blown QB1 war. And at the center of that storm, Shedeur Sanders. Let's not sugarcoat this. He's humiliating the veterans, not in some loud, cocky Instagram reel kind of way. No, Shedeur's doing it the way that stings the most, with precision, poise, and numbers that make the veterans look like they've aged a decade overnight. We're talking 77% completion rate in camp. That's not a typo, that's better than his college numbers, which were already elite. And before anyone tries to brush it off with the old, it's just OTAs, let's ask the obvious. If it's just OTAs, then why are the other Browns quarterbacks hovering at 58%? Yeah, exactly. This isn't normal. This isn't expected. And for guys like Joe Flacco and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it's not comfortable either, because Shedeur, he's not playing like a kid just happy to be there. He's playing like someone who knows he belongs, and he's playing like someone with a chip on his shoulder the size of First Energy Stadium. And Cleveland fans, oh, they're eating it up. The hype has exploded like fireworks in July. The moment Shedeur touched down, in Ohio, the city lit up. Local media, fans on Twitter, analysts, they've all been sucked into the whirlwind. Some are calling for him to get first-team reps. Others are already speculating, is this the Browns QB of the future? But not everyone's on board with the hysteria. Eric Mangini, former NFL head coach and current Fox Sports analyst.
And you see, all of his reps have been with the back-end guys. He hasn't gotten any reps with the ones. To me, that's a good decision, because as soon as he gets in with the ones, then the hype train's gonna roll even further. I'd say the numbers have to be taken with a gigantic grain of salt. There's a lot of learning going on.
Watching all this with a raised eyebrow, and he's not holding back. He's calling it like he sees it, a full-blown hype train barreling out of control. According to Mangini, Stefanski is doing everything he can to keep things calm, deliberately keeping Shedeur away from first-team reps, trying to pump the brakes before things get nuclear. Why? Because the moment Shedeur starts taking snaps with the ones, the noise goes from loud to deafening. And for a franchise already drowning in quarterback drama post-Watson, that's the last thing they need. But here's the thing, you can only hold back fire for so long before it starts to burn through the walls. Mangini admits those numbers even if they're coming against the back end of the roster, are impressive. You can get excited, he said, but don't be too excited. Problem is, Cleveland's already too excited. There's desperation in the air. After Deshaun Watson's roller coaster and the Flacco DTR experiment, fans are starving for a glimpse of hope. Shedeur's accuracy is feeding that hunger, and it's not just the numbers, it's the demeanor, the way he commands the huddle, the subtle confidence. The I belong here energy that you just can't coach. Still, Mangini raises a very real concern, and it's not about accuracy, it's about pressure. How does Shedeur respond when the pocket collapses? When he doesn't have time to breathe? When Myles Garrett isn't on his side, but gunning for his ribs? Because let's be honest, Cleveland's offensive line last season, a liability. One of the worst in the league in sacks allowed. And Shedeur, despite his smooth mechanics and a cool head, had a habit in college of taking unnecessary sacks while trying to make the hero play. That kind of stuff, it doesn't fly in the NFL. So yeah, the accuracy is real, but the test, the real one, hasn't even started yet. And the veterans, they can feel it. Every throw Shedeur makes in practice, every whisper from a coach, every camera lens that lingers just a little too long. It's pressure, and not the kind you can brush off with a casual joke in the locker room. Flacco may be the seasoned vet. DTR may have a head start on the playbook, but neither of them are putting up 77%. Neither of them are flipping the entire vibe of the quarterback room. Neither of them are trending on Cleveland sports talk like Shedeur is right now. And that's the kind of stuff that shifts locker rooms. This isn't just about who throws the tightest spiral. This is about momentum, and Shedeur Sanders, in less than a month, has seized it quietly, relentlessly. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a chess game going on behind the scenes. Kevin Stefanski, the Browns' head coach, is playing it safe. He knows what's happening. He sees the spiraling fan reaction, the media flares, the sudden headlines, and he's trying to keep the lid on the boiling pot. That's why Shedeur's getting only reps with the third stringers. That's why they're keeping him out of the spotlight. His numbers demand attention. Stefanski knows once Shedeur starts throwing to Amari Cooper, once Nick Chubb lines up next to him in the backfield, there's no turning back. And let's not forget, the Browns didn't take Shedeur in the first round. He wasn't even a day 2 pick. They got him in the 5th round. So now everyone's asking the same question. Did Cleveland accidentally find their franchise quarterback on a bargain bin discount? Because if so, that changes everything. Here's the thing, no one's saying out loud. If Shedeur Sanders had been drafted in the first round, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. He'd be starting or at least working with the first team offense by now. That's just how the league works. Draft capital equals opportunity. But because he slipped or was ignored, depending on who you ask, he's now forced to earn respect throw by throw, snap by snap, and he's doing it in the most poetic way possible by outplaying the very guys they trusted more than him. Let's talk about the vets, and let's be real, Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl MVP. He's been in this league longer than Shedeur has been alive. But at 39, what does he have left in the tank? Last year, he had his moment. He gave Cleveland a little magic, a few gritty wins, some unexpected leadership, but that was then. Now, he's moving like a guy holding off father time with duct, tape, and icy hot. And when you're sharing a locker room with a rookie completing nearly 80% of his passes in camp, that icy hot starts to burn in a whole different way. Then there's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, young, athletic, full of potential, but shaky when it matters. He had his shot last season and didn't exactly run away with it. Now he's watching a 5th rounder do what he was supposed to do. Command attention, make the media ask tough questions, force the coaching staff into awkward silences during pressers. Imagine being DTR and seeing the guy drafted after 100. Other players suddenly become the fan favorite before even taking a preseason snap. That's not just competition, that's a power shift. And while Stefanski may be preaching patience, you better believe the whispers in the building are getting louder. From assistants, from equipment staff, from guys who've seen this movie before. There's a vibe in Cleveland right now, and it feels like the beginning of a QB controversy no one wanted, but everyone can feel. And what about the front office? Let's not ignore the optics here. Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, might have just accidentally pulled off the steal of the draft. Imagine if Shedeur, the 5th round flyer, ends up being the guy that resets this franchise. A city still traumatized by quarterback failures, still haunted by Johnny Manziel, by Baker Mayfield, by Deshaun Watson's shadow. What if the next face of the team is a rookie who wasn't even supposed to be in this conversation? If you don't think that possibility is keeping Flacco and DTR up at night, you haven't been around NFL locker rooms. Now let's flip this. What happens if Shedeur keeps doing this? What if he walks into preseason and makes it impossible to ignore him? What if that 77% in practice turns into back-to-back scoring drives in preseason games, even if it's against backups? What if the fans start chanting his name in week 2? Stefanski's whole slow play strategy crumbles the moment the crowd turns. And trust me, the Cleveland fans have long memories and short fuses when it comes to quarterbacks. Here's another twist. Shedeur didn't ask for this. He didn't walk in demanding attention. He didn't go to the media with quotes. He didn't even post flashy workouts. He just showed up, started delivering tight spirals with laser accuracy, and let the vets unravel themselves. In a way, it's almost worse for them, because they're not being out-hyped. They're being outplayed, quietly. That's terrifying if you're in that room. And you better believe coaches notice that kind of composure. Front offices eat it up. Media sees it. Fans feel it. You don't have to scream to start a QB revolution. Sometimes all it takes is one kid showing up and being better every single day. Now let's zoom out for a second. This whole thing, this QB1 war, isn't just about Shedeur, Flacco, or DTR. It's about Cleveland. It's about a franchise that's been stuck in a loop. Draft a quarterback, hype him up, watch him crash. Repeat over and over and over again. They've tried veterans, rookies, trade targets, former Heismans. They've thrown the book at this problem, and somehow, the answer might have been hiding in the 5th round, wrapped in low expectations and covered in Dorian Sanders' shadow. Because that's the other unspoken part of this story. Dorian, every time Shedeur does something right, his dad's name comes up. Sometimes as praise, sometimes as a backhanded swipe, as if Shedeur can't possibly be great without riding Primetime's coattails. But guess what? In Cleveland, none of that matters, because on this field, under this pressure, against these odds, Shedeur is standing on his own, and what he's showing, even in limited reps, is enough to rattle a quarterback room filled with grown men and NFL veterans. That's rare, that's real, and that's why this isn't just camp noise. This is a reckoning. But let's be fair, let's talk about the red flags too. Eric Mangini wasn't wrong when he pointed out Shedeur's struggles under pressure. In college, he took too many sacks trying to make something out of nothing. In the NFL, that can get you hurt or benched. And the Browns' offensive line, still shaky, still vulnerable. You can't teach composure in a collapsing pocket. You either have it or you don't. That's the real test coming, not this week. Not next week, but soon, when the pads go on, when defenders stop pulling up short, when the edge rushers don't just play tag, but play to hit. Will Shedeur hold up? Will he escape? Will he throw it away when it's smart? Not just when it's flashy? We don't know yet. But here's the twist that makes it so compelling. We're about to find out. The Browns can't keep hiding him behind the 3rd team forever. Not with numbers like this, not with media pressure, not with every fan forum lighting up with questions about QB1. At some point, Stefanski has to make a decision, the safe move or the bold one. And Cleveland doesn't do safe very well. This is a football city starving for something real, something electric, something that doesn't just win games, but changes narratives. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is standing in that spotlight, not because he asked for it, but because his play demanded it. So what happens next? That's where things get juicy. Will Flacco buckle under the pressure of a kid playing out of his mind? Will DTR fade quietly into the depth chart? Will Stefanski finally cave and give Shedeur reps with the ones? Or will the Browns, true to form, overthink, overmanage, and miss another golden opportunity? The answers are coming. And something tells me they won't come quietly. One thing's for sure, we are witnessing the early stages of a quarterback storm in Cleveland. And it's not just whispers anymore. It's numbers, it's vibes, it's impact. Shedeur Sanders is doing more than making noise. He's disrupting the hierarchy. He's making the veterans sweat. He's forcing the franchise to ask the uncomfortable question, what if the rookie's already better? So now I'll throw it to you, the fans. Should Stefanski give Shedeur Sanders 1st team reps now? Is this all preseason hype, or is the rookie already QB1 in waiting? And most importantly, is Cleveland finally about to get it right at quarterback? Let me know what you think in the comments. I read every take. And if you've made it this far and you're as fired up about this Browns QB battle as I am, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking stories, exposing the drama, and bringing the real football talk every single week. Turn on those notifications, because the Shedeur Sanders saga, it's just getting started.